April 2023. Khartoum wakes up to gunfire. Not distant gunfire, not warning shots, but heavy weapons tearing through neighborhoods where people were asleep just minutes earlier. Phones light up with messages, windows shake, streets empty. No announcement, no sirens, no explanation, just noise, smoke, and fear. This is the Sudan War. It didn't start like most wars do. There was no declaration, no clear front line, no time to prepare. One moment, Sudan was tense but standing. The next, it was collapsing in real time. To understand how this happened, you have to understand Sudan's fragile balance of power. For years, the country existed in a state of controlled instability. Military leaders, armed groups, and political figures shared space, but never trust. Promises were made, deadlines passed, power shifted quietly behind closed doors. Then the balance broke. Two armed forces that once stood on the same side turned their weapons towards each other. Streets became battlegrounds.
Airports shut down. Hospitals were hit. Civilians were trapped between forces that did not retreat. What made the Soad War especially terrifying was speed. Within hours, the capital became unrecognizable. Checkpoints appeared overnight. Supply routes collapsed. Electricity failed. Water stopped flowing. Families hid in their homes as bullets passed through walls. Others tried to flee, only to find bridges blocked and roads under fire. There was no safe direction. This wasn't a distant battlefield. This was a city under siege. As days passed, the fighting intensified. Heavy weapons were used in dense urban areas. Markets burned. Entire neighborhoods emptied. The sound of gunfire became constant, day and night. International evacuations began, but only for a few. Most people had no way out. Borders were dangerous. Fuel was scarce. Food became precious. The Soad War exposed how quickly a modern city can fall apart when authority disappears.
What shocked observers wasn't just the violence, it was the lack of restraint. Ceasefires were announced, then ignored. Aid corridors were promised, then attacked. Trust evaporated. Behind the scenes, regional interests watched closely. Sudan's location, resources, and alliances made the conflict impossible to ignore. But intervention was cautious. Words came faster than action. For civilians, none of that mattered. What mattered was survival. People rationed food, shared water, slept on floors away from windows. Parents tried to keep children calm while explosions echoed outside. Time lost meaning. Weeks turned into months. The Sudan War was no longer just a power struggle. It became a humanitarian disaster. Millions were displaced. Hospitals ran out of supplies. Education stopped. An entire generation was put on pause. And yet, the fighting continued. This war wasn't driven by ideology alone. It was driven by control of territory, of institutions, of the future.
And when control becomes the goal, civilians always pay the price. The Soad War is a warning, not just about Sudan, but about how fragile stability really is, how quickly order can vanish, and how silence before a conflict often matters more than the first shot. Because by the time the world noticed, it was already too late. And that is why this war still matters.